guys, we're going to talk about Power, episode 10, No One Can Stop Me. No One Can Stop Me is the last episode so far of episode 10. We're going to discuss what happened. So you have your boy, Dubsy.
40 Cal.
Watch Dubsy TV. Before we get into any of this power discussions, we took a little break. We was on a little hiatus out there.
Had a trip to Rome, Italy. Yeah.
Man, you had a good time there. It was pretty good.
It was nice. Definitely different than New York, but pretty good.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I think it's something good to travel around the world. So those of you who don't do it, definitely do yourself a favor and take trips and change the scenery. Yes. So we didn't do a review for Scorched Earth, which is episode 9 of Power. So we're gonna discuss a little bit about that and going into the follow episode, which is. No One Can Stop Me. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Don't just watch the video. Subscribe. We're going to continue giving you great content, more Power news as Power goes in hiatus, because this episode marks the mid-season finale. So Power will be off the air until January 5th. So we're going to do a few other videos of Power predictions on how this season will end, theories and things like that. So you guys could look out for stuff like that. And we're gonna continue rolling on with some new content. So,
let's talk episode 9. 'Cause episode 9, I think, is very important. We gotta just briefly discuss it, very briefly, to really understand episode 10 a bit. Because episode 9 is where I think we were talking earlier a little bit, was where we had some issues with. And so I'll just start by saying with episode 9, I think there's some gaps that I don't quite get that they did. And again, we were talking earlier, we're thinking maybe they might fill in these gaps later, like in these next 5 episodes that's going to come out next year. But I think the biggest thing for me was the whole how Ghost kind of changed a bit. He kind of went out of character. And I know it's being debated on the internet, but I do think, yes, Ghost did go out of character and you notice that when he attacked Tasha, and it wasn't the fact that he attacked her or whatever that really has me upset, whatever. Actually, that's what has me upset in a sense, because to me, if it was someone like Tommy or Kanan or anyone else, I would have been like, okay, because that's in their character to react like that, especially a Tommy. With Ghost, I think he's a bit more smarter, more slick with it. He's a bit more like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to really choke her out or do any of that. I'm going to do something else. But what made it worse is afterwards is when he called the cops. I was like, no, bro, because like I said, one thing about Ghost, he's smart, but there's certain things he doesn't do. And what he doesn't do, he doesn't go to the cops, or he doesn't involve the police when he doesn't have to. He just doesn't do that. So when he did that with someone that, and again, I know they're going through a divorce, they're not together or whatever, but they're still family. They have a child together. So when he did that, I was like, yeah, why, Ghost? That's not some shit you typically do. And that's where, when we're going to talk more about episode 9, but we see this trend going into episode 10. What do you think?
I agree. I agree that, my problem with episode 9, Scorched Earth, was not just with really Ghost. It was with a lot of things that were going on in the show.
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
Tasha knowing exactly where Silver's body was, exactly the location.
That's a huge...
Knowing that he's in a car trunk somewhere, knowing that he's in the airport garage somewhere, and basically leading the cops, Blanca and Sax, directly to the actual location it was like, wait a minute, you know,
That was bad.
how do
writing
you
there, yeah.
how do you know exactly where this is at, and why does this not make you seem like an accomplice? You know, that's one. The situation with Ghost and approaching, I'm not upset with Ghost too much and how he got physical with Tasha too much, because this is something that's more of a domestic situation, talking about his son and Tasha, you know, being someone that he always had like a bit of control over. And, you know, if, you know, he said that we're doing this, more likely this is what we're doing, even though little arguments might have happened, you know, she will go with it. But she completely challenged him in a way that he didn't recognize, and he tried to pretty much put some fear on her, letting her know, listen, you know, you're not exempt from, you know, my characteristics of Ghost. I can end you right now. Now, I don't promote domestic violence or a man putting his hands on a woman. So, you know, don't misconstrue or, you know, like take that out of context. But so my issue wasn't really with her right there. I did find that scene kind of humiliating for her, and how he did it, and how he poked his hand on her forehead.
Laughed.
You know what I'm saying? You know, it was kind of funny, but at the same time,
it was kind of funny.
It was kind of disrespectful too.
It was.
But
yeah.
My problem with him is when he got back to Truth, and he sat down and he had this like a phone that I guess he just, you know, one of those phones you buy.
Yeah. And
he sat down, grabbed a drink, and looked like he was thinking, and he just picked up the phone and called the cops and wanted to report, you know, anonymously drug selling out of her daycare. You know, which to me was like very not too much like Ghost, because here you are, if you implicate her in that, you're gonna implicate your son, and here you are, you're fighting with her like your son is your main concern. And meanwhile, you're putting him more in that kind of trouble. So by him doing that, really didn't make a lot of sense to me. I was kind of like a little upset at that part, because I'm like, Ghost, all right, come on. You know, you could have brainstormed and thought about a better idea, shutting that place down somehow. You know, getting the city to, you know, to shut it down. Do something more.
Yeah, and I think that's really where we start to see Ghost. Actually, and again, this like episode 9 really leads well into episode 10, because I think that right there starts this trend of Ghost becoming this arrogant. I feel like he gets a little bit more out of character as we go on, starting from that scene right there.
Yeah, so you know, he calls the cops and does all this stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff he was doing. You know, like I said, you know. Blanca seems now. I feel like she's got the bug in her that has to solve this case.
Yeah,
you know,
the Sax bug.
You know that she had that Sax bug, which, you know, she has to solve this case, and she's working with Sax, doing all this, you know, underground illegal searching and talking to people, getting stuff from Dre and stuff like that, which Dre pretty much gave her the idea to, you know, trace the ankle bracelet that he had when he got kidnapped by Two Bits and them, to pretty much raid the warehouse that Tommy and has his shipments come in. And, you know, that happens, and they notice Tommy outside of the, you know, warehouse, and they think
it's Tommy that's the one that sold them out, even though it wasn't. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like I said, with episode 9 leads into episode 10, because later in episode 10, I think they knew it was actually Dre, right? If I'm not mistaken. So I'm not
quite sure,
because it seemed like they caught on that it was maybe Dre, not Tommy. And again, I tried to watch that scene again. I'm not sure what exactly they're referring to, so I think that's something we'll have to find out later. Because episode 9, they're like, oh no, it's Tommy. Episode 10, I got the impression that they thought it was Dre, and I thought Ghost like made the call like, hey, take this guy out because Dre sold you out. Not sure on that, but that's something we'll have to see later, or maybe we need to go back and watch it to really,
you know, and
really listen to.
I mean, going back to Tasha, I felt like, you know, Blanca had she always had something that she may have felt that she could use on Tasha to work her. And when Sax told us, let's put the squeeze on Tasha St. Patrick because she's the one that's closest to Lakeisha. The murder of Lakeisha led them to re-questioning Tasha, and she actually gave them the whole whereabouts of Silver.
Yeah.
And this is what kind of boosted their investigation into St. Patrick, which is Ghost, and gives them more higher motivation. Meanwhile, Ghost and Ramona continues to work together to secure a better political position for him. We also, in this episode 9, we see Ghost, do his season 2 Ghost classic setup to Jason, and which they had a great epic fight in the elevator.
That was a good fight.
Elevator,
right there,
and a great setup for Dre to later on come on the scene and look like if he was the one that actually killed Jason. And the way he set it up with the text message to text, his Serbians that Jason's after him. At the same time, also finding out that Tommy texted Jason about Ghost getting ready to set him up. Now, my other disappointment with episode 9 was the whole Benny and Tommy.
Yeah, that whole scuffle, that showdown was really a huge disappointment. Because remember, they were foreshadowing this showdown from, forgot what episode 6, 7 it was, when they're looking for Tariq, when they got kidnapped. So you knew this was going to come about eventually. You knew this was going to happen. And the way, with Benny, he questioned Ghost sold out Tommy, and Benny ends up confronting Tommy, and we were just kind of like, I thought he's going to come there with a gun, and I thought it was going to be a gunfight, or it's going to be like a life or death situation. And the fight should have been like you mentioned, it should have been how the Ghost and Jason's fight was, or even one-sided where maybe Tommy's about to die because Benny's a big guy. Plus he's a mafia dude. He's not like some guy off the street. So obviously he's done some time already in jail.
Yes.
So Tommy should have got his ass beat. And then I can understand maybe Tommy from like...
They should have slugged it out more.
Yeah, they should have slugged it out, and Tommy
comes had a
back.
Gunfight.
Yeah, maybe from near death, Tommy comes back and kills Benny. It should have been a little bit more epic. So for Tommy to just kind of kill him the way he did, for that fight to go down the way it did, was very disappointing, and they should have done a better job in that aspect.
Yes, and I 100% agree with you on that. So, that's just us breezing through episode 9.
Yeah.
We didn't really cover it. But yes, and, like I said, Ghost continues to move in his political endeavors and, pretty much lets Tate know, listen, beat it, dude. I'm the man. I don't care. And Tate confronts him about, he knows he's Ghost, and Ghost is like, I'm not Ghost. I don't know who is this person you speak of, and, I don't need you. Get out of here. I don't care about you.
Yeah.
So this is where we slowly get into a more arrogant Ghost. Now brings us to episode 10. Because we're gonna segue into episode 10. It starts off with Ghost sitting by his bed, and then he's I guess pretty much thinking and pondering, and I guess what's the what is he talking about? Was it Ramona? Oh no, it's Tariq. Called Tariq, and I guess wanted to apologize.
Tariq, he didn't pick up the phone, Tariq.
He wanted to talk to Tariq and apologize to him.
And one thing about this episode, I think Ghost was like 80-90% of the scene. So when you watch this,
it's more from his perspective.
This is really from Ghost's perspective, and this is really like Ghost's episode. This is really... Ghost is mostly, you don't really see... You see the other characters, but they're more... They make sure that they're secondary to Ghost at this moment.
Yeah.
At this episode, at least. Yeah.
And this episode was It was a good episode. Let me even start off from a positive aspect. It was a good episode as far as, the acting and, a couple of things that were going on. It was a good episode. But
talk about the positives.
but there's a couple of elements, just like I pointed out with the episode 9, that I feel like if they are left unanswered, is going to kind of like bring the quality of the story of this episode down, because there's a lot of unanswered questions on why things are the way they are. Let's even start off with, okay, what's obvious in this episode is that they really wanted to sell the "No One Can Stop Me" theme of this episode, and Ghost really almost every so often, at least 3 times that I can remember off the back, probably even more, at some point saying to someone he's talking to, no one can stop me.
No one's going to stop me.
No one's going to stop me. No one's going to stop me. So with that being said, it's almost like, well, something or someone will.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like it says that arrogance that, and like I said, we'll talk about the positives first. One thing I do like this episode, and I'm sure you guys will, I do like how Ghost kind of suns everyone a bit. He kind of goes to each character and kind of puts them in their place to make them know, like,
that he has the upper hand, and
he's winning,
and he doesn't need them, they need him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of is arrogant, but it's funny. I do think it's kind of un-Ghost-like, but I do like the way he did it. It's kind of, that's funny. What else? I do like, I like it and I don't, but I do like, what's her name? The cop girl? Blanca. I do like how she, like I know last episode she kind of realized a couple of things, but here she realized, you know what? I can't get these guys without actually breaking the law. And she realized with Sax and with all of that, you know what? You can't be Ghost unless you break the law. And I kind of like how she did her investigation and how one thing led to another, and how I always love when the top lawyer, the district attorney guy, how he always suns Sax. It's always
he's totally had it with Sax.
He totally had it with
Sax.
Those scenes are always hilarious. Like, how'd you get in here? Like, dude, how did you get in here? My ID card still works.
I'm pretty sure behind the scenes of those scenes, there was a lot of laughter.
There's a lot of laughter.
And those are kind of funny to me too. After a while, like, the first couple of times that happened, but now you're like, he's looking at him like, I don't even want to hear anything.
Yeah, I don't even hear. Yeah.
You don't want to hear anything Sax has to say. Just
like, you want these conspiracy theories again? You would like? Is this funny?
He was like, I'm gonna kick you out of here and let Ghost and them take care of you. Like, he's almost like he don't care if Ghost and them do anything to him. Mm-hmm. So we move from there, and he's thinking about a couple of things. We see Ghost meet up back with Ramona, and this I forgot the lady's name that's running for. I don't know if she's running for
the governor.
The governor
of New York.
Yeah, so I think she was the person that was running against Tate or whatever like that, or at one point or whatever like that.
I think that's our primary or something,
right?
Something of that
sort. So, they sat down, had dinner to discuss certain things, and they discussed some of his pros and cons, and they brought up like, the case that he had against them, but with him killing Gregory Knox, but he was exonerated for it. But they also wanted to talk about him making sure that he keeps up his end of the bargain with making sure he has the Queen's Child Project as something that he's giving back to the community, for kids and stuff like that. And I think he kind of, I guess, suggested there was a little setback with that, and she said, "Listen, you need to get that taken care of if you want to secure your seat and being a lieutenant governor. Otherwise, I'll have to replace you." So that motivates him to try to find a way to, get another location where he can have this Queen's Child Project located and stuff like that.
Then he meets the old guy, his uncle or whatever.
Yeah, someone that
he ends up buying,
that knows
from
his father.
way back. Yeah,
I thought we were gonna get a little flashback scene there, but every time I think we get in flashbacks, they never do it.
So they are gonna do, I think, a prequel. So I think maybe we'll get more into who this guy is in the prequel. Because you also gotta remember when certain things that you haven't seen or they kind of left behind, you always gotta keep in mind that, you know what, they might save that for either a sequel or a spinoff, or they're gonna talk about it in a prequel. So that's why certain things, it depends on what it is, but certain things I don't really, dwell too much about. I know some of you guys might be like, hey, what happened to F.A.? Hey, who's that guy? Why this guy this or this? I'm like, you know what? Let's wait till episode 15, and if we still haven't heard anything, we might see it in a sequel, prequel, or it's just bad writing and they completely forgot about it.
Absolutely.
And it does happen in certain shows. It does happen.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so we go on from there. I'm pretty much recapping some of the things that happened here. This is also I would think the episode like about an hour 15 minutes, hour 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's like an hour 15 minutes.
So a lot's happened. This episode we see a lot of Ghost, going places. I feel like he was revisiting a lot of his old either acquaintances, demons, things that he had to face.
Yeah. And one thing too with this episode, he speaks with everyone. He speaks with everyone, and he has a conversation with everyone, and he kind of lets them know where he's at and what's their place and what's their position right now in his life. He does that with Tommy, Tariq, Tasha, Tate, Angela's sister.
With Paz, he didn't really do that so much with her. She just got upset that he didn't tell her who.
That's true. That's true. He didn't really do that too much.
You know what I'm saying? So she was already upset with him to begin with. So
yeah. So I'm gonna get into some negatives now. I guess that I didn't really feel about this episode, and to me, it's not so much this episode. Like I said, like you mentioned, this is not necessarily a bad episode, but I do think is bad writing in the sense that of how they handle Ghost. Like for some reason,
yes. As far as characters,
as far as and like I said, there's debate among this. And remember, we watch this show because Ghost is the main guy. He's the man in this show. Like I said, I'm Team Tommy, but I acknowledge Ghost is the man. He's like Batman in this. So for me, if you're gonna do this sort of tragedy or this sort of have your main protagonist go into this, have this downfall, you have to do it a lot more better than how they do it. Because remember how Game of Thrones ended with Khaleesi, with Daenerys, and how they ruined her going bad. Like I said, the most recent TV show to do it perfectly, I would say, is Breaking Bad. But with this, I feel like they try to do this all within 2 episodes, and to me, it doesn't work. Again, maybe in the next 5 episodes, they'll fill in the pieces of what exactly happened or show other perspectives to make us make this more believable. But to me, this arrogant Ghost just felt like someone came out of nowhere and people was going, whoa, it's because he's Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah, because this Ghost is very arrogant in this episode. Yeah, that's one thing that's very apparent.
And to me, it's uncharacter, for him to be this arrogant.
That's what was very apparent in this episode. He was very arrogant. He was overconfident in everything that he was doing. Yeah. Like he almost felt like he was unstoppable. Like he was unbeatable. Nothing is gonna stop him. Mm-hmm. So even when he had this discussion, even with Tommy, they met at a location, spoke. Now again, the inconsistencies with again, I don't know. That's why I said it's either the writing or they're setting this up for later on for us to see later, so that way we know what really happened and tell a more cohesive story towards what's really going on. Because other than that, like, how do you explain, again, like I said with the last episode, Tasha knowing what happened with Silver? How do we explain that Tommy all of a sudden knows that Ghost didn't kill Lakeisha?
Yeah.
That's a big one. How do we explain Tommy knowing that that Proctor didn't get rid of the recording? Mm-hmm. How did all this happen? But again, this episode, like 40 Cal said, is from the perspective of Ghost.
Yeah.
So you don't really get to see too much of what the other characters delve into and obtain their information, because mostly everything is from Ghost's perspective. And when
That's true.
you know,
yeah.
and as arrogant as he is, he's not really paying attention, and so it doesn't make the audience pay attention.
Yeah.
You know, so that may be clever in that, but if they don't later on these next couple episodes kind of piece in together what actually happened
Yeah,
here,
if they don't fill in the gaps,
then this is going to be a big hole that in a story that will actually make it seem like bad writing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But Ghost and Tommy, they talk, and Ghost pretty much tells him he didn't know about, he thought that Proctor got rid of that recording, and I guess they were lied to. And again, Ghost talks to Tommy and says, listen, you know, you gotta, I don't know, you know, I wouldn't kill Lakeisha. You should know. You should know that. You should have been knowing that about me. But again, letting him know that I don't. We used to be brothers, and you're right now. I'm not sure if you're gonna let me walk out of here alive. But pretty much also, even within that same discussion, letting them know that I'm doing something big. I'm gonna be a lieutenant governor. No one can stop me. So I'm leaving. And there's nothing you can do to stop me, you know. And Tommy, pretty much takes out his gun and lets him know, listen, I'm not letting you leave. And then here comes a shootout that randomly happens.
This random shootout, and I feel like I saw it again. I was watching it. I think maybe Tommy set that up, but then I'm like, Tommy doesn't usually do that. But it wouldn't surprise me if it came from Tommy, but it didn't, because at the end, it seemed like Ghost and Tommy sort of team up together, but then Tommy just kind of disappeared. Maybe he ran. And I remember clearly, they were like, hey, it's two shooters, right? We only see one of the shooters get killed, so where's the other one? So like I said, again, I don't know if this is bad writing or just pieces that they need to fill in these next coming episodes. I don't know which one it is.
Yes.
So, because to me, it's very confusing.
Yes.
Because I remember hearing it clearly. They're like, it's two shooters. Either Tommy or Ghost kills one of them. Then we see one of them in the floor, and that was dead. And so I'm like, okay, where's the other one? Where is Tommy? What? And it just kind of goes on to the next scene. So I'm like, okay. All right. And, back in my head, when it happened, I was thinking, that's got to be Jason's guys, because where's Jason's organization? Where's his Serbian dudes? Again, I know they think that Dre is the one that killed Jason, but they should be questioning Ghost and Tommy, because you were working with him. So, plus I remember clearly that one guy was like, hey, he was going to meet with St. Patrick, right? And he told him, hey, take the strap. Remember in that car, that was episode 9.
He insisted that you take.
He was like, "Hey," he insisted, "take the strap." So that's why I'm like, okay, you guys. There's a lot of explaining, because I hate to pin this on bad writing to say, "Hey, Courtney Kemp, you guys did crappy. You guys didn't think this through all the way."
Gary Lennon.
So Gary Lennon, whoever writes the show. So that's why, you mentioned, good point. We have to see if they're going to fill in these pieces the next 5 episodes. And to me, I really hope these next 5 episodes, I'm moving forward a bit, sorry, but I really hope these next 5 episodes isn't just all filling in the pieces for episode 9 and 10, because I'm like, all right, you guys still need to tell a story. Ghost, unfortunately now, at the end, Ghost, he takes the bullet, but what's next? This can be recapping, or it can be who killed Ghost. It just can't be the case,